these are the core jobs which you really think about an SRE on a day-to-day basis, which they actually need to execute on, continue to think about, and also make sure they have the ability to be on top of every one of this, all the way from monitoring, setting up certain SLAs and service levels, on-call schedules, alerts, and fundamentally maintaining the service resiliency and the uptime. And that's where a lot of players in the existing market really revel. But we have an opportunity to take it to the next level, which are the things on the right, which we are introducing some of these capabilities in the coming PIs or over the next ones, which are the postmortem, disruption testing, capacity planning, and how do you fundamentally prevent and automate some of those issues and the incidents in general. Today's demo focus is going to be about everything on the left. And we are truly excited to show you how some of our core capabilities related to how we can integrate with some of the prominent observability and monitoring players, including our own Lightstep, with a 2 or a 3 click of a button. And that's what Gerard is going to walk you through in the context of a service. Then alert and the incident response, and how do you collaborate and resolve the issue, which is what Darius is going to cover in the demo. Tom will cover how that fundamentally will then contribute into the ability for you to easily manage on-call schedules, and also the capability we have built around Slack, mobile as well. And this is the first time in the history of ServiceNow you have a product where you can actually go to the website, simply click on sign up, and you start here. And one thing I would like you to actually notice here is that the ability for you to, I would say, enter very minimal information for you to start with. And we have made it as easy as possible to be able to get access to the product. The exciting part is you don't go through a procurement, you don't go through any of these typical classic sales cycle to be able to get access to the product. Now, what you see on the screen is as soon as you enter the product, it's asking you to enter a few basic set of information. Clicking on it, the first thing an SRE would be asked to enter would be name a service which you would like to monitor. Imagine I'm a SRE who is responsible for Spotify services. I have entered the name and also the team name, which I belong to. And once done, it's taking me to the next step. And what I would like you to take note is that the guided flows, which we are enabling the SREs as and when they land on a solution like this. In here, one of the most you can see we have actually embedded a number of the prominent tools in the market, like a Datadog, Lightstep, Dynatrace, cloud platforms, Nagios, all of it as well, including an email integration you could do. And in here, I'm selecting for the benefit of the demo, Lightstep, and I can add my cell phone number here. By the virtue of me entering the email address, I can see that it's already picked up the email address from the form itself. Now, once I click on this send test notification, I can, in a matter of another few minutes, I can confirm that that has already sent me a text, which is the first aha moment, which we are truly delivering to the user. In a matter of few minutes, you've came to the website, you filled a few pieces of information, went through these 3 steps, and immediately you get a sample text notification and an alert confirming that congrats, you're onto the system right now. Once I click on this tab in here, there are a number of automations those steps have actually enabled at the backend for you. And the first one is, as you can see, since we have some automation rules inbuilt into the system, which Darius would go through in detail, because it's a P1 alert, it auto-created an incident at the backend, and which we'll cover a lot more in detail in the section with Darius. But in addition to it, it automatically created and installed integration, which I can simply pick and get a webhook right here, which I can now copy the webhook, go back into the Datadog, update it, it'll start sending me alerts onto that, right? And the next one is it auto-created a service at the backend for me. And since I picked Datadog as an integration, it automatically detected that's the service which Datadog is continuously now monitoring. In addition to it, it auto-created a user. But above and beyond all, most often the users come to a product like this to be able to manage their classic on-call rota and the other situations. It auto-created a shift by default, took me as the on-call person for the shift. And by click of a button, I have the ability to now modify the shift, which in detail, Tom is going to show as we come up. Now, as you can see, those 3 steps and the power of the automation. And on the right, if you notice, we are also guiding the user from some of the core steps which we would like to have the user perform on the tool, so that they are guided in terms of extracting the optimal value from a tool or a solution of this nature.
Very good. Thank you, Jitin. So the homepage is what you saw, what Jitin showed you. What I want to show you some more is, now that the user is online, has got this sample service, this sample integration. Well, they probably want to add their own, right? So let's go about creating a service, right? That's because this whole product is really service centric. So I can see here that I have 2 services. One is my team services, which are the services which are assigned to my team, or to the team that I am a member of, right? So same SRE can be a member of multiple teams. So they would see that here. And for the services which are not, that SRE is not part of that, of any team, then I would see all the services here. So let me create just another service, and I'll call it maybe shopping cart, right? That's a very common one. And I can put a description, best service, right? I can add a service owner. So some users may have been created already at this point, and they can say, maybe I'll select Darius, or I could invite someone. Assuming they don't show up in the list here, I can invite someone. I can just type their email address, and they will receive a notification. And with the ability to come back into this instance, log in, create their profile, and they'll be registered. They don't have to register, but we feel that the service owner is probably the subject matter expert. So we will automatically, when they log into the system, we will automatically create them as a responder, so that they have access, that they'll be able to participate in troubleshooting scenarios. There is also, I can assign an on-call team, of course, right? So whenever any problem happens on that service, I can assign it to a team. Well, let me leave it blank for now. I mean, Tom will assign it to a team. Then I want to put a service URL. So maybe I'm going to put, let's say, servicenow.com, right? Assuming that's a URL of my service or my API or whatever. So it will be just for informational purposes. So if I could click on it and see if that's working. And then I could also select, create some tabs, right? Tabs, AWS. And then I can also add some links. For example, I would like to say AWS console, right? This is probably something I would want to, so aws.amazon.com, right? And then maybe I can add another link and so on. So that at that point, I'm done with defining my service. As you know, I have not been required to create an on-call team, to assign it to a team yet. That can be done later. But let's go to the next step. And then the next step would be to add an integration. So again, I'm actually going to skip that because I'm not ready. I'm not really sure exactly which integration I want to. I need to talk to some engineers to see which one, which integration is available, which monitoring tool is actually will be monitoring my service. So I'll just leave it there. As you can see, it shows into my all services. It's not in my team services. It's not assigned to any team yet. I see the service owner. It has no integrations. So the let's go then to integration, and let's assign it to some integration. Let's say I want to create an AWS. So I say shopping cart integration. Status is enabled by default. I can put some description. I can put an integration URL. Again, this would be maybe HTTP servicenow.com/shopping cart, right? You can put other tags as well, and I can select at this point a service. So here's my shopping cart. So I can just assign it to that service. I'll generate then a webhook. This is something that Jitin just showed you. You have basic instruction here on how to integrate this webhook into CloudWatch. You can also click on the full documentation that's going to take you to the online documentation on the Lightstep website. But here I could then copy my webhook, copy it, and then you follow the instruction to basically copy this to paste this webhook into your AWS CloudWatch. So then I will save this, and that's it. So now I can see that I have an AWS CloudWatch assigned to this to my service shopping cart. It's enabled. I could, if I wanted to, disable it. In the case of, let's say, I'm doing some maintenance on that service. I don't want to receive alerts for maybe an hour or so. Then I could disable it. And these are the list of integrations that we will deliver at maybe a few more at GA. We have the typical monitoring tools, Datadog, Dynatrace. We also have email. We found that email is actually still a method to send alerts to a third party. So we support email, and we also support the generic REST API. That one is very interesting in the sense that as you, I'm just going to create something here, generate a webhook, and then you can define some parameters. We have some of them that we are requiring, some of them which we are suggesting, and then these are additional fields that the user the SRE can define in their payload. Then they can just go. So let's say if I say description ABC, source server 1, and if I look at the sample payload, you can see that there is server 1, there's ABC, there's version 10. So they can then copy that payload into their script, into their monitoring tool to send this alert to air. And that's basically what I wanted to show you. We're going to turn it over to Tom now to talk more about the Teams flow.
Hey, thanks a lot, Gerard and Jitin. So her team, like we saw, Gerard has already taken us through creation of services and integrations. So now that we've defined the service and an integration tool, let's try to define an on-call team and how the on-call team can be basically used to monitor the service. So let me just share my screen. Now, as you can see on the Lightstep Incident Response, Gerard did not add the on-call team to that. So let's try to see how we can quickly create a team on this. So there's a Create a Team button that you can see. So once you click on it, you have a basic widget which opens with a stepper. So we can add basic details on the team, like if you want to add an avatar, I can give a name to the team. So let me name it Networking Team. The manager is already there. Essentially, the user that is logged in is currently an admin user. So the manager name is auto-populated with a logged in user. Now you can give a description for the team. Let's say I'll just give it as networking team. You can add tags like Gerard was mentioning. I can add AWS or some other tags which needed. And for team members, like we saw in case of the services flow, you can either add a team member from among the list of members, or you could also invite a new user. So inviting a new user would be like just give their email ID, and you can once you give the email ID, you can choose the role. So typically you can invite a user with a role level up to that of the logged in user. So in this case, you can invite up to an administrator. So the time being, I'm just inviting a responder user because we need to basically add them to an on-call schedule, etc. So now, as you see, the moment I send it, this invite has been sent to the user successfully, and the user has also been added to this team. Now, let me add a few more members so that it's easier for us to demo and set up schedules, etc. Yeah, so that kind of completes this page. And as we move further, we can see that the step after defining your team is to add an on-call schedule. So when you add an on-call schedule, you can either create your own schedule, or you could pick from one of these pre-built templates that you already have. So let me choose one of the templates, which kind of gives you a 24/7 coverage globally. So this is, as you see, this is like a follow the sun, a very popular template, which we've pre-built in this. Okay, so I'm just trying to edit one of the shifts to add members to show some of the features that are available. So this is a shift which is already created, and we need to add people to this. So you can change the shift name if you want. And whenever you use a template, all these are pre-filled. So this like it's running from 12 to 8. Essentially, this is giving a global coverage. And you see all of this. Now, one of the features that you have here is there is an autofill feature. If I click on it, you can see that it auto-populates the users. So there is a primary and a backup, which is auto-populated based on the algorithm behind it. Now, I can click on it again, and I can see that there's another set of users added to this shift. Now, let me change the rotation to, let's say, daily, so that now you can see that the users would be populated here daily, changing it on a daily rotation basis. Now, as I save this shift, this is now saved. As you see, one of the shifts is populated. And when I click on any of these users, I can see that this is the primary user, this is the backup user, and you have basic details regarding the users. Now, I can apply a time off. Let's say this person needs to be on time off. You can see that, let's say I do an all-day time off for this particular day, and I click on save. You can see that this user is now on time off on the time off bar. You can see that there is a B added here, which indicates that the backup is there. And there is the B is basically coming in the total coverage as well, right? So this is the backup user which is coming. Now, another thing which we can show is another functionality. Let's say this is the pre-built template, but the user does not want to make use of this fully. So let's say they want to get rid of some shift, and they kind of delete this. So once you delete the shift, you can see that the shift space are looking empty. Now, another feature that's available is that you can save this as a template. So currently that feature is not showing up because we are on the team creation flow. Otherwise, you can actually edit a pre-built template and save it as a custom template. So for customers who want to use custom templates, they can use this. And similarly, if there is a custom template where you see shift gaps like this, here we artificially created a gap by deleting one of the shifts. So all you need to do is to click on this autofill shifts. So the moment you click on it, it just creates shifts so that there is 24/7 coverage ensured. As you can see, there is an auto-created shift which newly appeared here, which is now covering this section as well. So ideally, if you need 24/7 coverage, you can kind of chain the shifts and add users as you want. For the time being, I'm just keeping one of these shifts and then moving further. So as I move on, the next step is essentially in terms of defining the escalation policy. So the schedule decides who is on call, and escalation policy decides how the users are going to be like kind of notified. So as you see, there are two policies here. There's an escalate quickly and an escalate slowly one. So let's go to the escalate quickly and see how it works. So we can see that this is for P1 alerts, immediately notify the primary. After 5 minutes, notify the backup. And in 10 minutes, you notify the manager. And in like kind of 15 minutes, you notify everyone on the team. So this is a policy wherein within 15 minutes, everybody in the team would be notified if the others do not acknowledge this notification. So that's what this escalation policy does. And as you saw, this was also a pre-built template that was available. I can always, as a user, you can always change it. Let's say I want the same to be applied to P2 also. So I just change it and click on confirm so that it kind of applies to P2. I can just go down and then save this policy. So the moment I save it, you can see that this is the way the escalation policy is set. So for P1 and P2 alerts, this is how the notifications go. And for P3 and P4, this is how you would see those. Again, you can save this also as a custom template, which would be available to other users. So you can create as many custom templates as you want. And now let me just continue to services. So this is the stage where I would probably can tag Gerard's service, which he created to this team, so that this service is now assigned to this team, and any alerts that are raised would be sent to this team based on the escalation policy. So this kind of completes the team setup, and I can just go to the team board and see that the members, services, escalation policies, etc. are all there. Another thing which we need to quickly go through is the users. So this is where all the users are defined, including the current user. So one thing we need to see here is that there's a My Profile section in which, so this is the section where each user can update their different contact methods and also define what we call as the notification preferences. So notification preferences is the way that the alert, which is assigned to the on-call, team, gets notified as per the escalation policy. But how does it get notified to the primary on-call user or the secondary user or whoever is on the escalation policy? That is guided by these notifications. So let's say as a user, I have different notification preferences, and I can choose for P1, let's say I want it to be updated on mobile app, SMS, as well as call. And P2, I just want it on SMS and Slack maybe. And P3 and P4, I want it on an email. So this is what I can do here. And this, so as and when I change it, maybe I want to change it slightly to have it in email or not, all these can be controlled here. So this is essentially how you do the notification preferences. Now, one other thing that we need to look at here is the Slack integration. So Slack is one of the ways in which we are notifying users. So some of the use cases that you have in Slack are that you can contact, it displays in the contact methods of users. So users can be contacted through Slack. It can be a team channel. Also from within alerts, you can create Slack channels started from within alerts while you're resolving alerts or incidents. Now, the way it's just like Gerard showed, it's just a single click integration for Slack. And as you click on it, it's integrated. So let me quickly show some of the slash commands which can be executed using Slack. So as you see, this is the workspace, which is already configured with Slack. So the moment I type something like /lightstep demo help, which is the key command here, I can get all the different commands that are available. And as a user, if I just need to look at something like, as you might have seen that I've logged in and I have some on-call statuses. So let's say I just want to see what my on-call status is. I was already part of some shifts. So if I give that command, I can see that I have these shifts. The current shift end times are these. There's an upcoming shift which we just created. All of the detail is available. In addition to this, you have different ways to see the open tasks assigned to you, close an alert, collaborate using Zoom, search for teams, etc. So there are different slash commands that are currently available in Slack, which helps you go through. Now, another part of the demo which we want to demo is on the mobile app perspective. So from the mobile app, essentially, let me show you a glimpse of the mobile app. Yep. what you see now is the home page of the mobile app that we currently have. Now, just to clarify that the users are expected to sign up on the web app, complete the initial setup, and then sign into the mobile app. So the mobile app that we've built now is an assist or an add-on to the web app by enabling responders to have enough support for triaging alerts and managers to be able to review coverages and ensure workforce optimization. So from the mobile app perspective, essentially what you see is that you have the My Profile and other details that are accessible here. You have the on-call details. So this basically shows your current shift or your upcoming time ops, shifts, etc. You can see your user calendar, scheduled time ops, etc. on your on-call schedules. Another thing that you see here is the My Active Alerts and Incidents, which shows the items which require immediate urgent attention for both you as well as your teams, right? And there's a set of lists that you see on the homepage itself. So this presents a list of a set of lists which might be of high priority and attention needed from the user's perspective. So let's just open the alerts. If we go to alerts, or if I just let me open the first one that I see here, which is an incident. So in this incident, you have all the details on the incident. You have different details which can be edited. You have an option to see the timeline on what all changes were made on the incident. You can also see certain things like edit these incident details, update the team. And another feature is the work on desktop feature, which the moment I click on it, the next time I log into the web app, this would be shown as a pop-up so that it directly takes me to this incident. Additionally, you also have a bookmarking option in the mobile app, which helps you bookmark it for easy retrieval later. You can also change the state of incidents as well here. Now, similarly, if I go to the alerts tab, I can see different alert lists that you see here. So there is My Open Alerts. There's a new update because, yeah. So there's My Open Alerts, there is an acknowledged, all alerts, etc. So from an alert perspective, you have some swipe actions. You have a right swipe to add work notes or add responders. You can do a left swipe to acknowledge or close. These are some of the things that are available. Similarly, if you go to incidents as well, you have a create incident option. Similar to alerts, you have filter and sort options, like you can apply different filter sorts. You also have the bookmark option like we saw earlier. Now, in this mobile app, you get a lot of push notifications like we saw in the users, essentially how notification preferences are set. So if you set your preferences to receive mobile push notifications, they would be appearing here, in addition to alerting on your mobile based on your mobile settings. So in addition to this, the mobile app also has a set of features like users can view their profile, they can see their calendar, schedule time ops, or see the coverages, shifts, etc. Teams which are there in the tenant, all the users that are there in the tenant, the different services that Gerard was talking about. So if you go there and basically refresh this, you can see all the services which are available. And some of these services, ideally the name of the service, the short description, as well as the status of the service. So what you see here is the critical, degraded, and no issues. So this means that it is a classification based on the number of alerts and the incidents. So once you click on any of these, you can basically see the details. I think it's supposed to show more details. Maybe there's some defect here, which is why it's not coming properly. But then ideally, it would be showing a lot more details on these screens. So yeah, that's essentially on your services. And that's largely how you see on the mobile app, and anything that you bookmarked essentially would show up on the saved section here. So that kind of concludes your demo mostly on the mobile app. And with that, I think I'll hand it over to Darius to take us through the rest of the things like alerts and all. Thanks a lot.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Tom, Gerard, on registering for this new service, signing up, setting up a new service, setting up a new team related to shopping cart. And now ultimately, I'm going to pick up the workflow on how this alert and incident response process actually looks now that data is flowing in through the system. And so Tom just left off on the mobile app, and that's where I'm going to pick up. I'm looking at an alert here to P2. I could see it's assigned to that new shopping cart service. And as Tom was mentioning, we can send that to the desktop, with a single tap here. And so I'm going to stop mobile sharing and continue the session here from my desktop. And you could see I'm being notified and prompted to continue from my mobile session. And what we're looking at is what we're referring to as our alert workspace. And it is similar also to the incident workspace in its formatting, in that the information you find is your clear short description and description in the header, along with core metrics we've heard in research is valuable to users, such as when was the impact detected, how long has it been open, who acknowledged it, when did they acknowledge it, and so on. But also, I want to highlight that you can see that we have automated alert grouping, which is coming from our AI and our defined capabilities from ITOM. It's grouping these similar alerts, so I'm reducing noise in the system. Another key thing that we've done that you won't really find in any other system is we've provided this notion of explainability in terms of the automation that you're doing. So here I could see my response rules automatically ran to create a Slack channel and to modify fields on the responder list. And what that means is it means when I go to collaborate on this issue here, there's already a Slack channel for this alert, right? So I now don't need to manually begin these Zoom or Slack collaboration processes. The system has automated my collaboration response. And importantly, it has looped in the right users. You could see here, these 3 users, Gerard, Tom, and Darius, this issue is never going to get solved. They've been added in for collaboration. And that's something that we heard time and time again as a challenge. The users have been saying, I don't know who to add. How can I add the right user in? So, another great example Joel made is, hey, maybe you want to add the service owner of this affected service here automatically. Well, you can do that with these response rules, getting the right users in the system. What you can also do is you can, collaborate, provide updates. You can even, tag users and make sure that they're looped into the conversation. We can add attachments. So if I took a screenshot of a metric I'm looking at or a graph, really easy to drag and drop and just add that simply into the discussion. And then, as mentioned, while I could also collaborate and continue the collaboration here on Slack, I can also continue my workflow seamlessly by, if I deem this issue as a big enough issue, I can actually promote it into an incident record. And so our AIR architecture and our current data structure supports a distinguishment between alerts and incidents. A lot of other systems on the market today force you to create incidents for everything, which actually would not be considered industry best practice. And so what we allow you to do is look at that alert as an informational layer to decide to take an action. And you could have the system either auto-promoted to an incident, like Jitin mentioned earlier on for that P1 alert, or the user make that manual triage decision. So really simple to understand your information, to collaborate on the alerts, and then to initiate collaboration either by the rules or automatically here in the system with the users. Now, in addition to this, these alerts can also come in, and these incidents can come in from manual creation, right? So how does data flow in? It flows in via generic APIs, via these observability integrations, via the email gateways that we mentioned, these addresses for the instances. But a user could also manually create an incident. And what we're looking at here is our notion of the list views. And so list views in AIR, as we've seen, they're streamlined and they offer this quick flyout. So as a responder, I may not want to drill in. I may want to just quickly parse through these. And, in the future, keyboarding coming very soon, go flip up and down between these. But then I could provide a quick update, right there without losing context, just blazing through these other items, clicking into one, clicking into the next, reading the details, checking on what's been going on in the timeline. I can get that immediate context. And I can go ahead and take action knowing, what other users have already done in the system. Now, talking about taking action, users are generally pulled into an incident response solution from notifications on their phone, etc. But if you're getting a lot of notifications, you might not know what should you be working on. And that's where our homepage, aka the command center, comes into play. From this homepage, you can see users see immediately the work that they have in front of them. They can understand if there's a linked incident, and this is really neat. They can also understand, is there an existing channel? So just like that, from the homepage, I could dive right in, and open up my my Slack and understand that full context from Slack. And so we've provided these nuanced micro interactions that is really focused on getting the users together, getting them collaborating, and making them aware of the actions that they should be taking. For example, acknowledging this alert. And so really useful. And I can also understand, what's the health generally. I might not be assigned an incident or alert, but maybe that shopping cart service, maybe Tom's on call and he needs some help because it's degraded. There's a lot of issues. And so I can actually see that on how my teams are doing, how many incidents and alerts are there, who's currently on call that might need help. I could reach out. And on top of that, we even give you organizational context. And so, if this onboarding wizard, once it collapses, we'll add that in the future, then I can easily see these P1 incidents, which gives me organizational context into what's going on with the operational health of my system. What's happening? Is there something happening with another team that might be impacting my team? We now give you that visibility right from the homepage. And finally, the immediate information I would want to know is, when am I on call? And something we heard from our user research from internal SRE teams is it's just as important as knowing who is on call next. So here as Jitin, I know that when at midnight I'm handing off, I'm going to get on a session of Slack or Zoom with Gerard and tell them what happened during my shift, right? We're giving them these small, important pieces of details to make sure that they can collaborate and know, who do I need to bring in the loop? Who am I talking to next as these shifts change? Now, last couple areas I want to show you before we open for Q&A is, of course, response rules. This is automated incident response after all. Well, where's the automation? And so we can create these system rules, which today is for automated actions in your response workflow based on conditions that you define. You can then define the actions the system is going to take, which can do things such as I highlighted, setting specific users on the responder list, opening and inviting specific users to a Slack channel. But what we can also do is we can trigger a webhook. So maybe you have an existing status page system, and if a P1 comes in, you want to update that status page, you can do so. And the neat thing is these rules run on both insert and update. So if you want to send another webhook when it changes to close, to kind of close the loop, you can absolutely do that. Maybe you want to send a webhook API call to Terraform and trigger some automation for provisioning or another use case. You can do that as well from your playbook automation perspective. Now, other options is sending a bespoke email. Maybe you want to email a distribution list to inform them that there's this outage happening. Maybe you want to go in and provide a KB and send the user extra details to help them resolve. Net, simplified automation for both process and collaboration here in the system. And in the future, we're going to have this notion expanded to, of course, our automated alert grouping, which will support service-based, tag-based, text-based grouping in the future. Now, one of the things I could also do is set up SSO. But this, I'm a new user here. My IT guy just went out for lunch, not really sure what I'm doing here. I need help. What am I going to do? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go into our resource center. So this beautifully designed resource center here has all the information I need as a user to apprise myself on what's the screen I'm looking at, what's going on in the system, for example, release notes. This is extremely important when you have a system that is on automated upgrades. Your system might be constantly changing from one day to the next when you log in. And so having that announcement telling you what's new is critical. We also have embedded help documentation, and you'll notice I'm on the single sign-on screen, so very timely. I'm going to see contextual documentation. Excellent job here by our doc writing team, Samiksha, Chris, and the extended team. We now have this great, embedded information that can take me also to the full documentation page. Now, I needed help though. As mentioned, I didn't know what I was doing with single sign-on. And so I'm looking everywhere. I'm trying to find Amit's phone number. I can't find it. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to launch this chat. And so this is a great actually now on now example as well. We're using ServiceNow chat technology. This is the CSM use case on how organizations can provide customer service for their own customers. And we're showing that here right within the product. And so I can say, how do I set up SSO? And while the VA will not have really any pre-built content to handle that, I can, of course, get transferred to a live agent. And of course, in this demo environment, it's not hooked up to our actual agent team. But, even today, right now, if a customer had an issue, they open up chat, we have a team staffing and looking at these chats that come through that can answer it and provide that guidance, which is important to us with a product-led growth product because we want to reduce the friction, not only to use the product, but also to adopt the product. And that's why, it's a bit of an extension of support in form of customer success as well. And so a lot of great functionality. I'm thrilled here. And so as a user, I can come in, I can give it that 10 on the NPS. But what we can also do is we can leave feedback. And I think this, as a product manager speaking, is something we've wanted to do for a long time, which is allow our customers to provide product feedback, requests for features, use cases directly. So maybe I want to say, I want to create postmortems, right? That's a capability we want to know. We want to make service resilience. Currently, I'm just using a Google Doc that I'm sending out. And, now we can take in that feature feedback in a formalized fashion directly within the product. So again, users don't need to leave context. They don't need to log into a community to submit feature requests. Your whole experience is embedded. And so with that brings our demo and our story to a conclusion. We watched Jitin sign up for a new trial. We watched Gerard set up a new service and integration. We watched Tom set up a new team and on-call schedule. And we watched how I could respond to an alert here using an embedded collaboration experience and live help when I need it.
If you aren't using Lightstep Incident Response for your business yet, read more about it and what it can do at www.lightstep.com/incident-response and sign up for a free trial. Or learn more about how to start using incident response by reading the extensive product documentation.